Welcome into the Finance Report alongside Mallory Hoff. I'm David Wilkinson and our guests Ralph and Tim Short.
Coming up, what it means for your retirement to exceed expectations, how to approach market volatility and tax planning. Plus, we'll hear what makes Richmond so special for Ralph and Tim.
Perfect time for introductions. Joining us now are Ralph and Tim Short. The father-son duo are part of the team at Welcome Home Financial Partners, a Richmond area firm that focuses on preparing people for a successful retirement. So, gentlemen, what should retirees expect out of their retirement plan?
Everything they planned all those 40 years of work. What is it that they want to do? Do they want to sit at home and play with their grandkids or prepare for them for college? Or does it travel around the world or just go fishing or golfing like Tim always wants to do?
All right, so that being said, how can a retirement plan actually exceed expectations?
Well, there are certain ways that you can exceed expectations, but number one thing, you got to understand your numbers, like we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
Stop looking at the statements. You got to create that income plan. There's so many things that are going to come into play with that. But in order to exceed expectations, you got to take action. You got to sit down. You got to create this plan. It's going to be a few meeting process.
Ralph, have you seen a lot of people go in with the mindset, I need to settle for my retirement planning, as opposed to outperforming?
Most people don't really understand what it means to outperform the market or what their expectations are because they don't have any expectations because they've never thought about it. They need to understand what is it they're trying to accomplish. We can show them how to get there, but we first need to understand what their goals and their priorities are. But a lot of people are afraid of change. They're afraid to take a look at what their numbers are. They're afraid because they don't want to know that they may not be able to go through retirement the way they planned for it.
Do you find that at times people are unaware of what strategies are truly available to them?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of people don't know what strategies are available. All they've done for so long is relied on those qualified accounts through work, whether it's a 401k, 403b, 457, whatever the case may be, and they've just had conversations with relatives, coworkers, whatever it is, and they've never sought that professional advice. So they come in and speak to us and we start going through our process, and then you see the light bulb go off like, oh wow, I didn't realize this was available. I wish, how many times have we heard that? I wish I had met you guys 10, 20 years ago because things might look a little bit better than they do now.
And I think most people really don't understand what their options are because they're, like Tim says, they're relying on information, but the only thing they do is put money into their retirement at work. Nobody's there guiding them at work whatsoever. It's just, here you go, here's a piece of paper, son, this is what you need to do.
So let's unpack a little bit more of this. I'm curious, when people come in to get that second opinion and you look under that hood, what discoveries you're making?
I think a lot of people are unaware of what will happen to them in their retirement years. They don't take into consideration taxes. They don't take into consideration what might happen in case something goes wrong with what your plans were, in case medical issues might come up. Things of that nature. But the other thing is, people need to understand what happens if your kids, adult kids, have to come back home to you and you're responsible for them. How's that going to affect them? Because a lot of people, and we have to warn them about this, a lot of people are coming in saying, well, I just gave $50,000 to my kids because they wanted a second home for a down payment. Well, what happens when, who's going to help you when you don't have that money anymore?
You've both shared with me in the past that water cooler talk can really land you in trouble. Let's talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, because everybody thinks it works until it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So then who do you go back to? You can't go back to your coworker. You can't yell at your brother-in-law. I mean, that's just where it is. But a lot of people use the sit and forget method. You know, a lot of people in the area, they've worked for these plants for a long time, 20, 30, 40 years, and whatever they decided to do in the beginning at the age of 20 is where they still are. And that's
they checked that box at that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we've run into it before where, their beneficiaries on their 401k was their parents. Well, guess what? Their parents are dead and gone. So they never revisit anything. And it's just, hey, I set this up 30 years ago and this is where we're at. Well, that's not the right way to do it.
Yeah.
But that's usually what we run into.
There's the cookie cutter approach, and then there's what you all provide, a customized plan. How have you seen customized planning really help people outperform?
I think mainly is they need to understand what they're trying to accomplish for us, and also think about it this way. If you did not make any changes, or your husband didn't make any changes to that beneficiary, and you were left without that money coming to you, how would that make you feel?
Yeah, pretty uncomfortable, right?
Okay. And you would probably wish you strangle them at that point in time too, right?
Your words, your words.
She's very friendly. Well, I'm not her husband, to clarify, but yes.
But there are so many different things to take a look at, you know, with tax planning, those kinds of things. I mean, you could save yourself hundreds of thousands of dollars if you're not doing the proper planning.
Say that again, how much?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. We've seen it.
Yeah. No, huge difference that can make right there. Very important information.
It really is, which means the time to act is now. For you at home, if you want to learn more about potentially outperforming expectations, Ralph and Tim have a great offer for you. Right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $250,000 or greater, they're offering a complimentary full-blown retirement plan just for you. This will allow Ralph and Tim and their team to sit down with you personally and provide you with a roadmap analyzing where you are right now and discuss your best steps to really get ready for a successful retirement. The number to call right now, 804-944-8867. Once again, that number, 804-944-8867.
If you happen to be delaying your retirement until that perfect time, perhaps your plan needs a second look. Ralph and Tim, do you buy in to the notion that there is a perfect time to retire?
No, I do not believe in that, because it all depends on what that person's trying to do and when. Because there's a lot of people that will say, I'm going to retire when I'm 70 years old, and next thing you know, there's a medical issue. Now they got to come out earlier. Or in this day and age, with all the economy and everything that's going on, they might be losing their job because of a situation. You didn't plan on that, did you?
So if you are someone who has been trying to wait for that perfect time for the stars to align, what would you say to them?
I would say to them, there is no such thing as a perfect time. It really depends on what you're trying to do. You know, we've got people that's coming into us that said, I stepped away from my job because my mother needed my help to help care for her before she died. So we have people doing that. So it all depends on an individual and what they're trying to do. And circumstances changes every day.
But what you want to do is make sure you have everything lined up. So when you're ready to go, when that perfect time does happen, you can go without worry. And that's what we like to do.
Do you believe that really being ready for retirement is both a mental and a financial question?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we see it all the time. We see people, you know, especially in the area, there are people working shoulder to shoulder for 40 years. And if that person right beside them doesn't leave at the same time, they miss them, you know?
Yeah.
They've been right beside them for the entire time, and they're not going to see them every day for 16 hours a day. So the mental aspect is just as important to them as the actual financial aspect.
But I think also a lot of people don't fully understand things happen in your life. I can give you an example of a client that we were working with before he retired, and he was going to retire in about 6 months. We'd kind of gone through the plan, what he needed to do, and next thing we knew, we get a phone call from his daughter, because the week before he had gotten home from work, and he was one of those guys that did everything for everybody. He was big-hearted, and he was cutting the grass for his next door neighbor who was elderly. He came back, he was a little hot, sat on his front porch, had a massive heart attack. They did not have any clue what we had done for them until they found a book that we have given out to everybody. They called, and then we took them through the steps they needed to do.
And I know you were there for them in that process, but it is devastating to hear those stories.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. For those who think retirement is all about the numbers, at times there's that magic number. We all know people who have spent years chasing $1 million. Maybe it's 1.5. What do you think? Is retirement about the numbers?
It's about the numbers, but it's not about that magic number, right? Because everything all comes down to income, and that's the number that you need to be focused on. But with that, it's not so simple, right? Because if you live 20 or 30 or 40 years in retirement, that income's got to increase along with inflation. It's going to increase along with your dreams, with your wishes, whether it's helping your grandkids, traveling around the world, golf, whatever it is, you've got to make sure that that income is going to be there for you. So there's so many things that you got to take a look at. Yes, it's great to have that big pile of money, but now you got to flip that switch. You've got to turn that into the income, and that's got to last you for forever.
But it's not always about the financial numbers. It's about the number of trips that you want to take and the memories that you want to do. And everybody's a little different. You know, we got some people that are going out just to the beach. Some people want to go on a cruise. So it's all left up to them.
No, I really like how you just put that. There is such a lifestyle element to this. You put 20, 30, 40 years into it. You want to make sure, as you guys have stated, you don't want to end up sitting on a couch all day long. I mean, that's what yeah, I mean, now he wants to go golfing, as you've said, as well. So, I mean, the lifestyle plan, the spending plan that needs to go with your retirement, what kind of impact can happen when you have all that put together and can fulfill those dreams?
Yeah. So I would say to you, I don't think you want your husband sitting at home while you're trying to work or do other things. You probably
Not to judge, but no.
Okay. So that's the thing that everybody needs to understand. Retirement is not always about the numbers. It's about what you're trying to do, your lifestyle.
Well, great information, and for that reason, the time to act is now.
Absolutely. So for you at home, if you want to learn more about building a successful retirement, Ralph and Tim have a great offer for you. Right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $500,000 or greater, they're offering a complimentary full-blown retirement plan just for you. This will allow Ralph and Tim to sit down with you personally and provide you with a roadmap, analyzing where you are right now and discuss your best steps to really get ready for a successful retirement. The number to call, 804-944-8867. That's 804-944-8867.
Ralph and Tim, for those who are taking on more risk right now in hopes of being in a better position for retirement, what would you say to them?
I would say most people need to understand sometimes if you get too greedy, it may hurt you in the long run.
Yes.
So what I would say is if you're in a spot where you're going to need retirement income coming from your investments, then you need to be a little bit more careful with that philosophy, theory, whatever you want, because all of a sudden if the market takes a downturn like it has in the last few months, it may not be as pretty a picture as you wanted it to be.
And it's all about the age and stage, right? If you're 50, 60 years old, maybe that's not the best thing to do, but if you're 30 or 40 years old, hey, why not? You got the time. It's all about timing.
Yeah.
Why is it concerning to the both of you if someone, in order to afford retirement, is relying on the stock market to get them to and through?
Because we don't know what the stock market's going to do. We never know what it's going to do. But you know what? If you've got all your eggs in the stock market, and the stock market continues to be as volatile as it's been, what's that going to do? If you continue to lose, are you going to be able to retire? You don't want to put all your eggs into the stock market basket. You just don't want to do so, because if the market doesn't rebound, you might not have that retirement that you wanted to have. So you didn't want to spend the last 40 years of your life working so hard to not do what you wanted to do at the end.
True.
Taking on too much risk versus too little. I think a lot of people want to make sure they're not missing out on an opportunity. What should our thoughts be if we are in or nearing retirement?
What I would say to them, they do need to throttle back their risks if they're strictly into the stock market and stuff.
Sure.
But at the same time, you can do the other way too. You can go from one extreme to another. It's kind of like the pendulum. So what you're trying to do is find that sweet spot, okay? And what I mean by that is you're going to be able to take some risk, but you need to protect that principal. Because yes, you can protect that principal in a bank account, but guess what? You're not going to be able to earn any interest at that point in time. But if you stay in the stock market, then that risk is you might lose your principal is a problem.
Yeah.
And there are ways that you can capture the upside of the market without participating in the downside.
Let's go there real quick, if you don't mind. I think there are strategies that people don't even realize are available to them right now, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of strategies out there that people aren't aware of because they're not built into the 401k. That's usually what most people are using during their working life, right? Some people might dabble in some IRAs, but those aren't the actual investments. People always think that an IRA is investment. How many times have we heard, well, what are you investing in? Well, it's my IRA. Well, no, but what's the investment? Well, it's an IRA. It doesn't matter. That's not the investment.
Okay.
So many people just look at that actual vehicle itself and say, okay, well, here it is. This is what I'm doing. Well, there's so many other things out there. You got to have an open mind. There are so many different things that you can participate in, not just that 401k, not just the IRA. And the last thing you need to do once you leave your employer is leave all your money with your employer.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, do you want tax-free income or you want tax-deferred income? There's a big difference.
Tax-free sounds like a fun one to go with, right?
I'm with you.
There's strategies to do that, and most people don't even think about that.
Okay, well, what's that costing them if they're not thinking about that or not taking advantage of those type of strategies?
Well, as Tim would say, it costs you hundreds of thousands of dollars to the tax man. And I don't believe that he worked beside you those 40 years to get you where you are, right, David?
He's not been here with us, has he? Not one time has he helped come on television with us. So let's break down protection and growth, and I'll start with protection. Why do you believe, though, it's more important to first focus on the protection side of things for your assets?
If you're nearing retirement, that's the only way to look at it, because like Tim has always said here on the previous program, is guess what? When your investments go down, you don't have the time to wait. If you're 5 years from retirement and you lose 50%, do you have the time, or are you going to continue to work? Is that what you want to do?
When people walk through your doors for a second opinion, a first appointment, what do you find is often overlooked when you take that first deep dive into their portfolio?
There's a lot of things that are overlooked because mainly everybody is only focused on accumulating, right? That's all they're worried about. They're worried about that number at the top of the statement going up, 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 and up. That's it. That's all they're focused on.
One thing.
Right. That's all they're worried about. Tax planning is one of the biggest things. A lot of people don't even diversify. A lot of people just have all their money in one stock. I mean, what are we doing here? If that one stock doesn't work, what's going to happen to your money? So there's so many things that are overlooked. There is no plan. It's just, hey, let's shove all this money in here and let's try to get this to work for us. Guess what? That's one way to do it when you're 20, maybe 30, maybe 40. But once you're near retirement and when you're in retirement, that's not the way to go because guess what? Market volatility, you might be going back to work.
Yeah.
Ralph, this isn't exactly the message that people are going to hear on Wall Street now.
Well, think about it this way. The talking heads, they get their money how? By selling you stocks, by mutual funds, or their books. So does it take in consideration what you're trying to do? It's all about what's going to be good for them. That's the biggest thing to understand. Yes, when you're young, you need to be doing this type of stuff, but sooner or later you got to flip the switch that we call it.
Really important information, especially right now. For you at home, the time to act is now. If you want to learn more about having the right balance for your retirement, Ralph and Tim have a great offer for you. Right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $250,000 or greater, they're offering a complimentary full-blown retirement plan just for you. This will allow Ralph and Tim and their team to sit down with you personally and provide you with a roadmap analyzing where you are right now and discuss your best steps to really get ready for a successful retirement. The number to call, 804-944-8867. That's 804-944-8867. For Ralph and Tim Short, Richmond is home. And we all know there's no place like home. And they tell me being part of this community means more than you'll ever know.
It's a great place to be. I mean, look at the location. I mean, you get the best of everything. You're so close to the beach, you're so close to the nation's capital. A lot of people flock here.
Whether breaking things down on TV or having a conversation in the office, for father and son team Ralph and Tim Short, preparing clients for a successful retirement isn't just their line of work, it's their passion. What's it like working together?
Some days it's great, it's challenging,
Yeah.
but most part it's been fun.
You agree?
Oh, I agree. And it is. It's an honor working with my dad. He's taught me a lot. But the good thing is the whole office is a team, you know, not just father-son team, but the whole office is a team.
Do you feel that you bring something unique to the table because of the relationship and the history that you have?
Yes, I do. I mean, for most of our clients, they really recognize the fact that we work as a team. We have their best interest at heart.
It's a blue-collar town. There's a lot of hard-working people here.
It's a close-knit community.
And that's why we like the clientele that we have, is because they're very down-to-earth, and I think that's why they like us as well, is because we are very down-to-earth as well.
Their goal is to help people prepare for the retirement they've spent years working towards. And they say the importance of sharing a vision with your significant other should not be overlooked.
You've got to be on the same page, always.
How hard is it to get people to be on the same page sometimes?
It can be tricky. It can
It's
be
a
tricky.
little challenging for sure.
But a lot of the folks here, they worked 20, 30, 40 years at a plant straight out of high school. So now they're wanting to know what they need to do with their funds.
It just infuriates me that they're not getting the proper advice because like Tim says, you worked so hard 40 years to accumulate this kind of money and now it's gone just like that. To us, you're not the number. That's the whole meaning behind our name, Welcome Home Financial Partners, is you're part of the family. Once you become a client, you're part of the family. Everybody's going to be in a different situation. There's different rules, different regulations. Everybody's 401k plans, pension plans are all going to work a little bit different. The biggest thing that we've been seeing recently now is pension buyouts. A lot of these employers don't want to be on the hook to pay these people for their lifetime. We're supposed to be living longer, so a lot of these companies are wanting to buy out the pensions, so they're offering a lump sum to the employee or the retiree. Most of these people aren't getting the correct information and they're just cashing it out. So if they offer that lump sum of, let's say, $200,000, $300,000, they're taking that $300,000 and just putting it into their bank account instead of rolling it into an IRA. You're going to run into a big tax problem.
The companies will say, here, you got 2 weeks to make that decision. And all of a sudden, they're just like a deer blind in the headlights. They don't know what to do.
I've heard you both say when it comes to retirement planning, the plan has to change because life changes.
Absolutely. Grandkids, great-grandkids, health concerns, everything's going to change. You've got to make sure that your money is going to last longer than you are.
When it comes to planning for retirement, how do you know if you've saved enough to truly enjoy the city you plan to retire in? And will inflation play a role? Both Ralph and Tim agree that when it comes to planning for a successful retirement, there is no magic number.
We have clients on different ends of the spectrum. One client will come in and say, I've got this money and I want to spend every last dime of it before I die because it's my money. I want to make sure of that fact. Or I have other clients who come in that will say, I want everything to go to my kids. I don't want any of this money. And then you explain to them, well, you don't have a choice about some of it because your 401k or IRAs, you're going to have to start taking money out at some point in your life. So there is no one plan or one correct answer. It just depends on what that person wants to do, what their plans are later down the road. It's simple as that. I think the biggest thing is always for them to understand what they need. If your whole thing is $3,000 a month in expenses and you got $5,000 a month coming in from whatever, guess what? You don't need a huge sum of money at that point in time. We have people come in with that and all of a sudden they said, I can retire because I've got $2,000 a month.
What it comes down to is just helping people. You work so long and then next thing you know is that you didn't make the correct decisions and now they're back to work, whether it's part-time or full-time. And I've seen it with people 60 plus that, you know, they're griping, hey, I just want to go home. I want to spend time with my grandkids, but I can't. I've got to work.
If you are in retirement or quickly approaching retirement, what do you need to be considering when it comes to inflation?
$5,000 a month isn't going to be the same next year as it is this year. Hell, it's not going to be the same next month. Your retirement income has to compensate for these things. Now, we've got a bunch of big plants around here. We've got Philip Morris, we've got DuPont. The Federal Reserve Building's right up the river here. There's so many different opportunities in this city, and a lot of people just don't get the advice because they're leaning on the water cooler talk.
Ralph and Tim would prefer that you lean on them instead.
I think the best feeling is when you're sitting down with somebody and you tell them that they can retire and just giving them the ability to know that they can. Letting people walk out the door with the peace of mind is the best reward we can see.
And as you can see, Ralph and Tim have a passion for serving the Richmond area, which is why today they have a great offer for you. Right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $250,000 or greater, they're offering a complimentary full-blown retirement plan just for you. This will allow Ralph and Tim and their team to sit down with you personally and provide you with a roadmap analyzing where you are right now and discuss your best steps to really get ready for a successful retirement. The number to call, 804-944-8867. That's 804-944-8867.
Gentlemen, piggybacking off what we just saw, how does being a family firm, in your minds, help you prepare people for retirement?
Well, what I would say is we're just a normal family in this business, helping people because now we understand what problems they might have. Because we have to feed our families, we have to pay for college, we have to think about retirement. But the biggest thing in this business, we have to make sure, because the weight of the world is on our shoulders because we're helping thousands of people at a time. So now that's why we've built such a team in our group here, so that no matter what happens, we'll be able to maintain that trust that those clients have instilled in us. So that's the key issue here, is because we know what you're going through.
As a father-son team, what have you learned from each other?
We've learned a lot. I'll go ahead and jump
Jumping
on in
yeah.
there. So we've learned a lot from each other. He's got the old school way of thinking. I guess I probably have the new school way of thinking, but it's been great because he'll bounce ideas off me and vice versa. So it's been nice to have kind of two different type of mentalities, but at the end of the day, we always still come up with the same decisions. But it's great that we've got the family atmosphere in the office. And everybody becomes clients, they become part of the family. And sometimes that does sound a little cliche, but it's true. And we've got a great team behind us that they get to know everybody just like us, you know, so it's a great family atmosphere.
You said old school, new school. Why do the two work together so well?
Because the old school like me, and they call me the dinosaur, because guess what?
How dare they?
I've been through a lot of the crashes that they have not seen before, okay? So that's kind of where my experience, if you want to call it experience, you know, crash of '87, Black Monday, seen that, and we worked through all those issues. So the issues has always become, you have to be one step ahead of the game, because where you are today, the things that you're doing today, think about this, before COVID, a lot of people didn't understand what they needed to do to be a better market, to do things for their clients.
Speaking of which, do you think people have learned from past stretches of market volatility and crashes, or no?
They always remember what's happened in the past 5 to 6 years.
Yeah.
So the last 10 years, everything's been wonderful, but now they got to, I always remind them, 2008, 1987, when you lost 50 to 70% of your thing. If you're fixing to retire, you're not going to.
Devastating.
That's right. Got people that, with one of the programs I had in 1987, he was 78 years old. He wanted to retire at the end of the year. He's a professor at a college. I told him not to put that money in where he was thinking about. He did anyway, because it was set up for a 20-year-old. He lost 57%. And guess what he did? He sold out. He lost $200,000 of his $300,000 account.
Painful to hear that.
No, these are the type of mistakes that can cost people right there. And I know to help viewers at home avoid circumstances like this, to potentially be in a much better situation, you all have a very special offer.
That's right. For the first 5 callers that have saved $250,000 or more for retirement, we like to invite them into the office where we'll sit down with them personally to help them create their very own retirement plan. And Mallory and David will do this on a complimentary basis.
An opportunity that really should not be missed. Once again, for you at home, if you want to learn more about getting both to and through retirement, Ralph and Tim have a great offer for you. Right now, for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $250,000 or greater, they're offering a complimentary full-blown retirement plan just for you.
This will allow Ralph and Tim to sit down with you personally and provide you with a roadmap, analyzing where you are right now and discuss your best steps to really get ready for a successful retirement. The number to call, 804-944-8867. That's 804-944-8867. From all of us at the Finance Report, thanks for watching.
We'll see you back here next time.